This is World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, with me, your host, Carl Gruber. World Awakenings is a podcast dedicated to opening your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things metaphysical and spiritual, and just how much they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment daily life. So come with me on this enlightening experience as I interview metaphysical and spiritual experts as we discuss and debate and delve deep into the hows and whys of this worldwide awakening.
We welcome you to the World Awakenings podcast. Before we start, we'd like to tell you about a special ebook written by the show's host, Carl Gruber. The Three Pillars, a simple three-step process to manifest positive and permanent change in your life. The concise 32-page Three Pillars ebook will teach you how to become a successful and consistent co-creator of your life path with the law of attraction. Yes, you can manifest the life you truly desire, and the ebook is absolutely free. Simply go to Carl's website, carlgruberlifecoach.com. That's KARLGRUBER lifecoach.com. Click on the header title About Me and get the free download today. Carl Gruber's free ebook, The Three Pillars, will positively change your life.
All right, welcome once again, everybody, to episode number 18 of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment. This is a podcast that investigates why now more than ever the world is awakening to all things metaphysical and enlightening and spiritual. And one of our traditions here is bringing on some of the finest guests from around the world, and today, again, is no exception. I know that I say that every episode, but it really is true. Today, we're really honored to be talking to my friend Poul Laursen from Oslo, Norway. And Paul is a really, really interesting fellow. I had a chance to meet him in San Diego, 4 years ago at a life coaching conference. And Paul is a future author. He's working on that now, but he, like me, is a certified law of attraction life coach. And he has some really interesting things to talk to us about. And Paul, welcome to World Awakenings.
Thank you very much, Colin. Thank you for having me.
Well, let's start and find out a little bit more about Paul yourself before we go into a lot of the things that you're doing. You were just telling me off camera here a little bit ago, you are originally from Denmark, and you now have lived in Oslo for a long time. How did that come about?
So when I was young, very young, I educated myself as a carpenter, and I got a job up here just when I was 20 years old. I had a friend working up here as a carpenter, and said, "Please come up here, Paul. This is a great place to work, and we make good money."
Yeah.
And fast forward, I met a girl many years later up here. I was back and forth in both Copenhagen and here in Oslo, and I ended up here 18 years ago almost.
Mm-hmm.
And I have a daughter who is 13 years old. So I'm living here mostly because of my daughter, and it's a beautiful country.
Right, and I have never been there, and I would absolutely love to go there someday and hang out with you and see the beautiful city. But so you and I have had previous conversations, and I'd like to let our audience know. I mean, you've had a pretty interesting life, though. I mean, you've done some things, and how did that lead you to becoming a life coach, a law of attraction life coach? On top of that,
I think the first time I have to say is that I was always different than other kids. You know, I'm the weird one, the one from the class that you're pointing fingers at. And I think that many times when we are gathered with light workers or people who are interested in spiritual and things when it comes to personal development, they have often found themselves in a situation when they were younger that he was the weird kid.
mm-hmm.
So I experienced that too, and that got me very curious. Why am I not having the same experience as others? And everything cracked down when I was in my late 30s. I found out that I didn't like myself, or I did the basics of me, but I didn't like my life, and I had to make a halt in my life and stop up. And I stopped working for 2 years, and I went to. I was lucky or a hard-working man, so I had money, so I could take off a year or two, and that's where basically, because I had a halt in my life also, and some insights when I was in my early 30s, and when I was my early 40s, I found out that I can't do this, and I need to find out who I am, why I am here, and what is it on the spiritual side that I haven't looked at, and that took me on a path to meet Native Americans, and it took me to all kind of spiritual gatherings with spiritual people around the world. So I've been introduced to medicine like the iboga and the ayahuasca and the peyote and kambo, and checked out everything. And I visited also. I think I didn't share with you, but I visited almost 7 or 8 different tribes or reservations in the U.S. So I've been together with Havasupai and Lakota and Apache and Hopi, and I've been even been sundancing together with the Lakota people.
Wow!
Which is a ceremony where you dance for 4 days, almost without eating and drinking. So we only have a little horseman tea, and that kind of led me to understand that it is not about me. It is about how I can serve and make a difference. And it humbled me to have all those challenges in life. So I'm kind of being humbled by a life that has been very hard on me. And I can see how that has, in an insanely beautiful way, gifted me, because I now see at what I can do for other people instead of what they can do for me. And that is kind of one of my biggest insights, to be honest and to be humble, and to still not to be afraid of being powerful and being a warrior, which is like the masculine role today. It's almost, you have to embarrass if you are a strong masculine man. That is like weird for me, and I hear what's going on in the US. So I would say it's being willing to be the butterfly, and it's a part of my book, because the book you're talking about is called The Warrior and the Butterfly, and that's a powerful, very strong young man who's finally finds himself at the end, that he's willing to change and transform. So,
well, let's talk about that book in a little bit more here, but I just want to go back to what you just talked about. I think what you just described about your life to this point is a really beautiful, transformative journey. A lot of people, and I believe as we get older, we all get introspective about what's it all about, myself included. And you got to a point where, unfortunately, a lot of people go the opposite direction. Instead of seeing their own inherent power, they go into drugs or alcohol, or even, dark places, suicide, violence, that type of thing. And for you, and I love this fact that you journeyed to the U.S. and met up with the native tribes, and not just, I mean, as you've told me, you gravitate to native culture, not just in the U.S. but around the world. And so, of course, their teachings and philosophy and their spiritual understanding is so deep. And boy, I really like that idea. Your 4 days of dancing and without eating except drinking some tea. Boy, that would really be an expansive. Did you have any actual spiritual experiences during that?
Yes, I was. I don't know. So very, very humbled
Mhm.
because you have a 4 days preparation before you start dancing, and you go into what they call the inner circle, and I will have to stand up in front of the Sundance chief, who is you could say a medicine man or a spiritual leader, and he will ask you why you are dancing. And many people are dancing because they have difficulties in their families, or they have emotional or physical issues, so they dance and pray for something good in their life. And they say, why are you dancing, Paul? They called me, some of them called me Mr. Norway because they didn't understand that I was Danish. They thought it was pastry I was talking about. I don't know. So I said, okay, I am here to remind myself of my mission. That is not my life that is important, but my mission here on earth, and how I can serve. And what am I wearing around my neck is the symbol of my mission here on earth, and what I can do for others. And this is why I'm here. So you could say I'm here to serve all the indigo kids.
I
And
can't
they
really see
know
it on the screen. What is it? What is it then?
that's
Oh, okay.
yeah.
Beautiful.
I
Beautiful.
saw this in a dream and in a meditation 10 years ago, and I draw it on a piece of paper, and I sent it to my friend, a goldsmith, and I said, you have to make this for me. And she made me
Wow.
2. And I say, I'm going to wear this for the rest of my life. Maybe I don't understand now why, but something said to me, and I'm a very, grounded man, so I won't say I met Jesus and he talked to me. I'll just say that there was something that said to me, you don't have to understand now, just wear the cross for the rest of your life. Later on you will understand why. And
That's
I said,
beautiful.
okay, I will wear this cross.
But anyway, so that's beautiful. I really like that you have that type of thing. But again, going back, I really think it's very cool that your enlightenment has led you to understanding of being humble. And along with that humbleness also comes gratitude. And we know the deep power of gratitude.
Yes, we do. I think that's one of the most important things. And I'm glad you brought this up, because that was really interesting. When I went on to my education a few years later, after you did your education, they brought up the phenomenon of gratitude, and I'm like, wow, this is so. I'm in a good place. I've understood things, because just 2 or 3 years before my education, I got so sick and tired of everything that I said, I'm going to sit down. And that was the start of that path where I was doing a lot of spiritual things. And when I went to the US, and I said, I'm going to meditate on forgiveness and gratitude for 1.5 years, and I'm going to drink absolutely no alcohol. So I never drank a lot of alcohol, but every now and then. But I totally stopped, and I sold all my alcohol I had. I said to the highest bidder, you can come and pick everything up, because I don't want to have anything in my house. And some of it was too old, because I'm not drinking it. So, and it is kind of one of the biggest openings for my part. And and this is what I call my insights. So say, are you enlightened, Paul? I am absolutely not. I don't know what that means. but I know what insight means, and I have had a lot of insights because I have integrated some knowledge. It is not something I read about, and I don't like philosophies and theories. I like something that I have integrated to make a working day of my and test it out myself, and something that you can integrate and make a working part of your everyday life. So when I meditate every week on forgiveness and gratitude, I said, what is forgiveness? So I have to forgive, and I have to forgive everybody who's been disrespectful for me, for my parents. They have let me down, like all parents, dysfunctional family,
Right.
we're not alone. And I said, but I have to be, I kind of have to be grateful for that, because that has turned me into who I am. So the teacher almost killed me in front of my classmates in '79. My father hit me with his fists, and I've been, molested, hit in fights and attacked, and life has not been very nice to me. And it has made me a very nice, humble man that I'm very proud of. So I said to myself, you don't have to forgive them. You also have to say thank you. So I meditated and I said thank you for all people who had disrespected me, who had stepped in my face. Thank you, because you have made me a strong, powerful, and good warrior.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that I cried many times when I meditated, and I went into a deep state of mind where I was like almost in a trance, and that changed my life. 1.5 years. Thank you for all the disrespect, and I forgive you, Paul, for not being good enough. I forgive everybody for what they have done to me, but most of all, I forgive myself not to have been not to that I thought previous I wasn't worth love and I wasn't good enough. I forgive myself. I truly forgive myself, and I am in gratitude to all you people who has disrespected me.
This is really beautiful, very synchronistic for me, because I'm currently going through a series of meditations that are based on forgiveness. And, you and I, as life coaches, we understand that many of the people that we talk to, actually, probably most of them, have issues of feeling worthy or good enough, or they don't feel good enough. And it's pretty much throughout the world, and it doesn't matter what culture, doesn't matter where you live, and it's something, unfortunately, that is built into us as we are young and grow up.
Mhm. Yeah.
But let's walk along the journey of Poul Laursen a little bit more. So how did you come about to the law of attraction?
I remember that. That's a good question, and it's really funny. I think it was it was early in my path of looking into the spiritual stuff, and 1.5 year or 2 years after, maybe 2 or 3 years after, I saw this video, a 22-minute video with Christy, and saying I have this education and you can be a certified law of attraction coach.
Right,
And
Christy Whitman.
yeah, and I saw all the things she said, and I was like, wow, I need to do this. I had no doubt in my mind, and the year where I had this education, it confirmed everything that I believe in life, and it's kind of this is one of the periods in my life where I thought or had the feeling I have seen the light. This all makes so much sense to me. So now I'm in power of my own life. So I'm not a victim anymore, because I'm all powerful. I am a co-creator. I even believe I'm not a co-creator. I believe I am creating my life, and I will take full responsibility. And that is, how that feels, Carl. That's just beautiful.
Well, you and I have pretty much the same story. I pretty much right parallel with you. The same thing happened to me, and it's beautiful, and that's how we ended up knowing each other and so many other people around the globe. So, well, I am absolutely in awe of your life journey so far, and how you live your life is so inspiring and enlightening. And so let's move on to where you're at now. You mentioned this a little bit earlier, but you are working on a three book series about a young man in shamanism. And the first book, and these haven't been published yet, but you have the whole idea in your head. Go ahead and elaborate a little bit more, because I can't wait for the viewers to hear about this. It's really cool.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's in fact, I have a short story I want to share with you. I'm working on this book, and I needed some more inspiration to grow as a messenger, and I ended up going to the where they now it's what is that called? It's called where you learn how to speak, Toastmasters. Sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
So I go to the international group of people, Toastmasters, here in Oslo, Norway, and they have something that they call table topics, where you have to speak. They say, stand up, and here's your topic. You have 30 seconds to prepare. Are you ready? I always challenge myself, because I raise my hand and I join, because that's a good challenge to speak about something you are not prepared for.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, so he took this little note like this, and he said, hi, okay, Paul, you have made a book, and you are just published it. You're going to make a public announcement now about the book. And I was like, you are kidding me. That was mine. You have 30 seconds. And I said, I don't need 30 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, tonight, and then I talked about the book for 3 minutes, and people were like, what is that? Is that a book, Paul? Have you made that? So I said, no, I'm working on that.
You already had it in your head.
So it was easy for me, and I won that evening on at the table topics.
Nice.
But I started working on that book 1.5 years ago. It was so difficult to me because I had so many ideas. So I had to kill my darlings, some people say, and I had to take away all my good ideas and just keep the absolutely best ones.
Mm.
And I thought in the beginning that there was going to call I'm the One, because this is how you can believe that you actually can achieve and do things. But almost a year ago, I found out that that is the ending of the first book, because it is called The Warrior and the Butterfly. It is a strong warrior who has very, very challenging life, and he is half Scandinavian and half Russian, and he ends up in prison. He goes almost getting killed many times, and because he has his Russian roots, he goes to, later in the book, goes to Siberia, where I was this summer to see where the book is ending.
Mm-hmm.
Went to Siberia and by Lake Baikal, where he meets this shaman that gives him the 7 insights so he can live a powerful and strong life. And at the shores of Lake Baikal, he sits down and says, now I truly understand that I am the one. I am the one. And he's sitting there crying because the shaman almost killed him. And that's how I found out the vision about this. That is book number 2. So now he understands I'm the one, but you need to have the book number 1. So the first one is The Warrior and the Butterfly. Next one is called I'm the One. And the third one is a very, very, this is going to be an insane book, because this is called the Black Dragon, the Dark Dragon, and the White Angel. It is where he masters all the powers, all the white powers and all the dark powers. And this is about how he enters the really, really dark and black realm of life. And he understands how to make this work in a good way for him, so he can achieve and do good things as a servant for human beings, but also create the subtitle, or the second title is And the Rise of an Empire, because he makes a very strong international business in the third one, because he understands how he can do good and powerful things with also mastering the dark power. So that's the 3 books.
You know, that's interesting, because here I am sitting here looking at you on the screen here that we're talking to each other on, and the fact that I know that you have 3 entire books floating around in your head. I just see letters and pages floating around your head. Now you just need to sit down in front of the computer and just let it flow out, you know.
Mm.
And wow, that is going to be exciting. This is probably, maybe you don't have an answer to this. Do you have a projection of maybe when the first book might be available and published?
And I have to finish the book the next year. So next year we have to get it, end of next year, have to get it published. And I have a friend and a co-author who is in on the book. I did a presentation for him a year ago, and he said, Paul, he's been writing 10 books. He's written 10 books. He's published 8 books. And he says, this is going to be the best book I've ever been in on. And he's going to help me with tying up the loose ends and where I'm not structured. And he's really good at, good at writing. So
Can you tell us his name?
Yeah, his name is Einar Andreas Lund. He's been both making books for kids and adventures and social, social reality. It's really interesting, yeah.
Well, you know, to this point, because you and I, again, Paul and I had a little chat a couple days ago. I think our viewers and our listeners really would like to hear about your story, about your research of going to Lake Baikal in Siberia and meeting the shaman. If you wouldn't mind talking about that a little, because this is a great story.
Yeah, it's actually some of the things. I made some notes. I said, what is Carl going to ask me? And I said, what would you like to share with him? And I see here on my paper, I haven't looked at it, the trip to Mongolia and Siberia. And that was, I've said to my girlfriend that, you see, they talk about a lot of stuff that the secrets and stuff like that, but there is truly magic in life. If you understand how to work together with life, you can create magic. And if I go to Siberia and I had resistance, and I contacted people on the internet, said, hi, could you please help me? I want to go to the mountains in Mongolia, and I wanted to be together with eagles and white camels and horses, and I didn't succeed. And I was like, Paul, there's something wrong. And I got angry, and my temper was almost conquering me. And I'm like, no, Paul, stop. Just stop. Just go to Mongolia. Everything will work out for you. If you feel resistance, if I use my power, that is my message about the warrior. If the warrior used too much power, he's going to miss the point. So I let go of everything. I go to the airplane, and I'm sitting in the middle with a row of 3 chairs. My friend and traveling partner is sitting to my left side, and at the window is empty, and a young woman or in the 30s approached the seat and look at me and say, I'm sitting there. And I said, of course, yes. And we rise up. She sits down, and she's from Mongolia. And she said, where are you going? And the plane was going to Russia, to Moscow, to have our first flight, and then from Moscow to Mongolia. And she said, I have a brother who lives in Mongolia. He just sold his 2 restaurants, and he would be more than willing to help you with a guide and guide you. I said, you're kidding me. And she contacted him when we landed in Moscow. And before leaving Moscow, we had an appointment, and he took us to the mountains. We were riding white camels, met a shaman, and was with an eagle, and did all this stuff.
Wow.
And then and I have a friend for life. I mean, this guy, Joe, he would be a friend for life. So why am I saying this? This is a teaching that says, if you just say what you would like to have and think about how grateful you are for what is coming, you can meet somebody who says, my brother will guide you, and be together with him for 4 days. What are the odds for that? And that's the same thing that happened to me in Siberia. I took the train, the Trans-Mongolian and Trans-Siberian railway all the way to Siberia, to Irkutsk. And in Irkutsk, I didn't have any luck. And then we went to the small island called Spiritual, or very special place called Olkon. And I talked to the lady at the hotel. I said, I'm having difficulties with finding somebody who can help me translate and talking to local shamans. Could you help me? And she said, yes, of course I can, Paul. She had a master in something from Irkutsk. And so she was a well-educated woman. And she said, I will translate for you because I can't have a meeting with anybody. I don't speak Russian.
Mm-hmm.
She picks up this, she calls this friend of her that she knows that is a shaman. He comes up half a year before me going there. I saw on the internet that there's an international gathering of shamans from all around the world every year. And it just so happens that this shaman is the main shaman, the lead shaman of this gathering next year in Siberia, in Olkon, where I was.
Wow.
And he invited me to come and be with him next year. And I thought it was difficult for me to meet somebody and get contact with them. And the best contact I could ever have just came there. And he said, I told him about my book, and I really tried to be humble because I met many of those international shamans, both from South America and from North America. They see right through you. They know if you have a good heart or if you were egocentric son of a beep, you know. So I said, I truly believe that I have something that I can help other people, and I want to make this book, and I want to get it right when it comes to shamanism. Would you like to help me? And he said, your book is going to make a difference. I will help you. You can always call me, and whenever you need my assistance, have any questions for the next year or two, I will always be there. And that is magic. That is life's magic when you open up and say, focus not on Paul, I can't make it happen, rather than thinking about how can I make a difference in other people's life.
Well, Paul, this story that you just told us is such a perfect example of exactly how the law of attraction works and how you are the creator of your reality. Everything that you envisioned and focused on appeared manifested into your life to help you move forward with your amazing goal of writing this book and a dream. Wow, that is just awesome. And personally, I'm sure a lot of people listening and watching this are going to be excited looking for this book when it is published, and the whole 3 series. But I want to move forward a little bit more because, and you and I haven't really discussed this, but you did send me a message and tell me that when you coach and when you talk, you work on a program based on 7 elements, and this is how you do one-on-one and group coaching.
Yeah.
What is this?
But it's funny, but it's because, like, I think 3 years ago, I'm saying, well, why don't you have a structure? Why are we saying, hi, hello, Carl, what are you bringing to the table today? What do you want to talk about? And people are confused. I won't say that, people are ignorant, but we are confused. I was confused for so many years. I really understand. I was one of the most confused men you could ever imagine. So I feel with people and say, we cannot let them lead. So I have to lead. And I said, why can't I make a process of coaching so I take them through everything they need to go through to make a change? And that's when I came up with the 7 elements. And then I'm like, oh, I have the 5th element. And the 5th element is the secret. It's like where the elements come together and you understand who you are and you have understood your why and your how and your commitment. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started working on that. And that took me almost 1.5 years. And I never got it right. And now I understand. Ha ha ha. Mm. Now I understand. And my first one is, who am I? And my new story. And then I go into mindset and environment. Then I go into responsibility and motivation. The 5th element, goals and commitments, success habits, because we need to have success habits that support what we would like to do, not, sabotage. I've been sabotaging my life for years and years. So I need to have a success habits and an environment that supports what I would like to do. And I need to have consistent action. So that's how I build up my the 7 elements. And I'm doing one-on-one coaching. I'm taking them through. I say, who are you? What would you like to be?
Mm-hmm.
How can I change my story? Paint a new picture. That's how I work. And that's how and then I like when I started working with the 7 insights, because this author, my friend, is he's my best friend, but he's also very demanding. So I said, I started writing on the book, and I said, here's the beginning and some of the end, and I'm not structured in this, so I get inspired. And he said, what is the 7 insights? But the 7 insights will grow. They will come. It's on the way. And he said, no, Paul, I don't want to hear anything about the book. I want the 7 insights. And I'm like, how is this? This is something a shaman, a guy who is connected to 400 years of wisdom. He is omnipresent half god who is like challenged to this deep transmedia that he meets, that is a shaman. And then I had to work for almost a year with those 7 insights. And
beautiful.
That's my blessing, because he said, I don't want to hear anything more. You give me the 7 insights. And I said, blah, blah, blah. And he said, stop. Give me the 7 insights. Then I had to start working on what is the 7 insights? What is the most important insights you can have in life, can work for you? And one of them is the gift of forgiveness, the gift of responsibility. I will give you 3: the gift of being honest, the gift of responsibility, and the gift of forgiveness. And there will be 4 more, but I won't share them now.
Right. But I think that's great, and I understand as a coach myself that many clients, and even if you're with a group of people and talking to them, or an online workshop, most people are confused because when most of us are presented with our own point of power, and that almost never happens in daily life, we go, oh, wait, I have the power to do this? So if you give them a structure, some guidance like that, it gives them a point of reference. Personally, I know my viewers and listeners have heard this before. I work with 3 pillars, which is
that's great.
mental, physical, and spiritual, with a keystone of forgiveness, building your house on a rock solid personal structure, a rock solid foundation. And then becoming consistent with that, walking in integrity of oneness and love and truth, then your house stands strong for the ages. And then you can become a consistent co-creator with the universe, with the law of attraction. So similar to your 7 elements, when you have that structure, it's beautiful. And I think it does help people to understand, well, I can apply this to my own life and create a rock solid house, a personal foundation based on the 7 elements of the 3 pillars, that type of thing.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, well, I'm going to jump in here too, and I warned you I was going to do this. I always ask my guests, this show is called World Awakenings, the Fast Track to Enlightenment. Why do you think, Paul, that now more than ever, the world's population is open to all things spiritual and metaphysical and enlightening?
You said to me, I'm going to ask you this question, Paul, and I'm like, this is really a big question. You are like, that must have been very challenging for some of your
it's like
the
him
people
going,
you have interviewed.
7 elements right now.
Yeah, I'm the guy with the 7 insights and the 7 elements. You know what? I am totally divided in that question, because what I see, I will say that there's a stronger energy or stronger vibration. I think people call, not that I feel it. I don't feel it was the vortexes of Sedona. I don't feel it, but there's a stronger energy, and I think this has amplified both the ignorant and the enlightened, or the people who's opening up. So what I see is actually what you see, but I also see that the ignorant people and the sleepwalkers are being manipulated and indoctrinated by, you know what, the mass media, our Western society, and that is growing. So there's an ignorance that is growing, and on the other side, we have a younger population. I mean, not guys like us who is halfway there, but the younger population is much more open-minded, and I see some of them can open up to the spiritual, and open up to some of those old virtues in a very short time, because they don't want any BS. They want honesty, and they can tell. So when I talk to some young people, they instantly say, "Yeah, but you're honest. You actually mean what you say." So I don't know why, Carl. I have to be humble and say that I don't know. I can just see that it's growing on both sides. So I see many of those people, and I see also many people who is so mental and so misguided that it's crazy. And then I see all the other people, and I think, I don't know. I think it's because there's a rise in the energy here on Earth.
Mm-hmm. Well,
So it's giving
I'm
power
glad
to both
that you
sides.
brought up the fact that you see particularly gravitation towards enlightenment and spirituality with the younger folks, because I do a lot of writing in several articles I have. I just wrote an article called "There is Something Better Than This," and I grabbed from a Pew Research program on what they call SBNR, spiritual but not religious, and they focus especially on the millennial generation, where they have seen the history of mankind where it's been nothing but lack, attack, judgment, violence, wars, and how organized religion has been shanghaied by man to control the masses. And they finally said, I don't want any of that. They want the Enlightenment. They want to find out about true enlightenment and spirituality, and that's something better. And the Pew Research program on it shows how more and more people are leaving organized religion and just calling themselves SBNR, spiritual not but not religious. And so that goes hand in hand with what you're talking about there. Excuse me. I think that for us, and I originally had a problem with this, but I believe that you and I and so many other folks in the world are what we call light workers. Initially, when that came out in the New Age thought system, what do you do, man? I'm a light worker, man. Kind of like the hippy dippy. But so there was a lot of judgment on that. But if you think about it, what you and I and so many other folks in the world are doing, we are light workers. We're trying to bring light in awareness and understanding to the world. Like I said in the title of my article is, there's something better than this. There is.
Absolutely.
So, well, Paul, where do you see yourself going from this point? I know we had earlier spoken off the recording here. You're going to have a website coming up. How can people contact you for coaching or speaking, and just to find out more about Poul Laursen?
I will finish my website in the beginning of next year, because that's have both the coaching program and the book going on, and now I have some public speaking that I have put in, also called 7 Insights, that I'm going to start doing. I did my first one last Saturday, which was very interesting. So early next year, and I will publish send you the link to the website whenever when I'm finished, so you can spread it. Yeah. So I would. And
if somebody wanted to contact you right now for coaching, could they maybe find you on social media and connect with you?
Yes, that would be my name, Poul Laursen, on Facebook, for example.
Well, and two, just for people around the world, that is spelled Poul, and
Yeah.
then Larsen is Laursen.
Yeah, that's correct.
So, because most like in the U.S. here, most guys spell their name Paul.
Yeah, that's how it's easy to find, because it's an old Danish way to speak it.
Oh, okay.
Or to spell it. Sorry.
Well, I'll tell you what, Paul, this has been an absolutely amazing, amazing discussion. I really believe that we've taken on some amazing subjects here. I can't wait to read your books. I mean, the fact that I can just see you sitting in front of the computer writing, and it's just pouring out. I mean, because it's all there. And I love the fact, the story about the young gentleman and the shaman, I can't wait to read it. The Warrior and the Butterfly, that's the title of your first book that's going to be published, right?
Awesome. So that's The Warrior and the Butterfly, and then it says, what is that called in English when they have a second title?
A subtitle.
Yeah, subtitle is The White Shaman and the Seven Insights. That's the last part of the book. So.
Excellent. Well, folks, we have been talking to Poul Laursen, Law of Attraction life coach, a forthcoming author, a light worker based in Oslo, Norway, via Denmark. So, and I'm Carl Gruber, your host of World Awakenings here in the state of Ohio in the United States. And God bless technology is so great that Paul and I he's 6 hours ahead of me, and we can sit here and chat like this in real time. And not that time exists. That's a whole nother show. We'll talk about that. Paul, thank you.
Thank you.
Namaste for being on World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment. It's been a blast talking to you, and I know our viewers and listeners have enjoyed it just as much as I have. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much for having me, Carl. It's been a pleasure. I like having conversations like this. Huh? It reminds you about how beautiful life is, and what is possible. There is something better.
I love it. All right, thanks, Paul.
This has been another episode of World Awakenings, the fast track to enlightenment, with me, your host, Carl Gruber, a certified Law of Attraction life coach. I welcome you to tune in to each and every episode of this podcast, World Awakenings, as we open your mind, your heart, and your eyes to the fact that all of the world's population is now, more than ever, awakening to the truth of all things metaphysical and spiritual, and just how much they play an all-important role in our moment-to-moment, everyday life. Much love and light to you, my friend. Thank you for tuning in.